Morning, Debbie.
Hi. How are you?
It's fine, thank you. Hope you are too.
Oh, I'm good. And I'm not. Why didn't they put the table up?
What was the question?
I have to find out why they didn't put the table up.
Thank you.
I'm going to give this one to you to start.
Okay. You have it going, right? Hi, John. Sure, man. Morning, Jim.
Yeah. How are you?
Good.
John, if you want to sign in over there, that'd be great. I don't know why the table's not over there, and I have not been able to get back in for that. Complete packet and all of that.
Thank you.
Do you need an agenda?
No, I don't need the agenda.
Do you need the minutes or the, please give any one of those? I have,
Come on, just put this table over the page.
I had 8 packets, but they only must have had 5.
Welcome to WebEx. Enter your access code or meeting number. Enter your attendee ID
Hi, Craig.
or the numeric.
Go ahead.
No.
Sign-in sheet.
I just did the file.
Okay, so maybe I had 2 on the file.
You might have had 2 on the file. I didn't even look at it. I just like printed it automatically.
Gotcha.
I didn't even catch that.
You like it so much you did it.
I liked it so much, I did it twice, you're right.
No, just,
I'm good with that.
Doesn't seem like they're working though.
Did you flip this switch on?
Yeah, pretty much.
hi, Jim.
Yes, but you had to turn the rest of the mic
See, there's no church yesterday. Pretty exciting.
It's very liberating to be able
Yeah. I was shocked to see the truck there.
to take it for granted.
Well, I'll tell you, how long has it been since you drove it?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah, that's a huge step forward. Yeah. The microphones aren't working, guys, so we're trying to figure out what's wrong with them.
Craig, how come the flag is half-mast all the time?
There's some site that gives us what it's supposed to be at. Don't ask me, I don't know what the occasion is now. You know, it might be COVID, I don't know. I have no idea. Hi, Steve.
Craig, did you turn on the YouTube? Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to speak up, okay? Just maybe it'll fix it. Okay, it is past 9:30. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, he just went on.
That's one. All right.
I just got one.
Is there any public comment this morning? Don't you should have a roll call, coffee order? That'd be a good idea, roll call. I'll do the roll call. Mr. Anderson. Here. Mr. Ekstrom.
Here.
Mr. Adams. Here. Mr. Beer. Here. And Mr. Wojcicki. Here. Okay. All present. Okay, take. Right. I'd like to nominate
Yep.
Jim Miltel will take our minutes today.
Is that a motion?
As motion.
Then I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None neither. Okay, approval of the revised minutes for April 5th.
There were no public.
Notice of public comment.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 5th meeting, which were revised.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Discussion,
Discussion.
that's still wrong. Although it's an improvement.
Steve, we went through the whole tape, and this is, I mean, there were certainly little things you might have said, but it's not to be
Debbie
verbatim.
Macredo's salary, her percentage for GA was one of the things. Why is
Oh, I thought you just said that this month, for the last meeting.
No, that was here. That was on the 5th.
Okay.
Whatever percentage she says she does, that should go on the GA budget.
Right, and that's in the GA budget. What's that?
But it's not in the minutes.
Okay, we'll add it there. All right. If we add that, Steve, are you okay?
Yeah, but there were points made in that meeting that were to be provided at subsequent meetings.
Right, and I think I remember most of them, so we'll provide them.
But they should be in the minutes.
We went through it.
You know, my memory isn't infallible either. and
No,
that's
we went
part
through-
of the reason is so stuff doesn't get lost in the
I
shuffle.
understand it. We went through the tape, and this is everything we could pull out of it, that we could find. And you might have had Debbie's percentage GA budget in there. I didn't have that, so. All right, let's have a roll call vote for approval. I second the motion, so approval. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Eichstruck?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Veer?
No.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you say you're gonna put it in, but then it has to go to another meeting. So I don't know what the point of that vote was.
The point was, we're gonna add that to it, and I see what you're saying.
You can have them send you a copy of it.
We'll send you a
Make sure
copy
it's
when it- once it's added to it.
to make sure it's interesting.
You usually have things in before you approve. Not
we
if
just-
missing items, say, well,
we
we'll
just-
put them in later.
We just,
I have to say I agree with Steve. I think if we're voting yes, it should be in. So I recant my vote and say no.
okay, but I have 3 yeses still, so we'll put it in there and we'll send it to everybody, okay? So you see it's been done.
I mean, what is the problem with this?
Nothing. What, do you want me to bring it back again with just that in there, Debbie's percentage of GA budget?
Yeah,
Just that one line, you'll be happy.
yeah.
Okay. But we had 3 yes votes. Does anybody want to withdraw their motion?
As long as you send it to Steve and Mike that
Yeah.
they go for it, I have no problem.
I have no problem with either. I'm going to send it to you that way.
Are you
Okay.
gonna have it at the next meeting?
I'll also bring it to the next meeting to show it to you.
So is that a withdrawal of the motion?
No, we passed it with the addition of Debbie's percentage of GA budget.
Oh, man.
I
What
don't
the
think
heck?
that makes sense at all. I mean, it's a week, let's just get it done and approve it as it's supposed to be instead of having all this going on.
We already had 3 yes votes, so let's move on. Approval of the minutes of the April 12th meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Well, discussion,
Sure.
once again, stuff's not here. All right, so do we have, on, how much it costs to run the township? Do we have that figure today?
Yes, we do.
And has the summary been changed?
Has the summary been changed with the budget year week meeting?
Trustee Veer asked for the comparison on the summary.
Oh, yeah, I've got a comparison of the summaries from the past 3 years, yeah.
All right, and all these other requests are being done today, right? The formulation of Debbie and Flo's time spent
Yep.
on the road district?
I have that, yep.
I don't understand that last line in the discussion, and so Veer asked about the year numbers be updated.
I don't
Is that-
understand, I don't understand that line either.
I think that was for the end of the year.
I think it was the end of the year, which just changed that, so ask that the year-end numbers be updated, is that what you're saying?
Yes, and so they're complete now, right, for that fiscal year? We're in mid-April now.
Correct, oh, they've been added to
But
it.
that sentence really doesn't make any sense at the way
Yeah,
it is, so.
what if
If
we
we're gonna
just,
leave that in there, we should.
May I suggest
Clear that
trustee
out.
Burt ask that the year-end numbers be updated for a complete fiscal year?
okay. Okay,
I got one, on first page, a motion to approve April 5th, 2021 minutes made by trustee Anderson, seconded by trustee
that's
Anderson.
obviously a mistake. It was probably me, trustee Adams. I'm pretty sure it was. Okay, so if I change that to trustee Adams, I'm sure it was me. And we changed the last line as requested. I'll bring it to the next meeting shortly.
Where is the clerk?
The clerk had to go away on family business. All right, so if we make those two changes, can we pass these minutes then? I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 12th meeting.
We already did
Yeah,
that.
we already made that, Stan made the motion.
Oh, I second the motion. I'm sorry. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes?
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beer?
No.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. It's passed, we'll make those changes. Okay, now we're back to the budgets again.
Well, I'd like to start again here. Now, how are we gonna protect those fund balances?
Oh,
We're
okay,
still waiting for that, and we need to understand what your ideas are.
Right, and I did that. Yeah, sure it is. And I worked with Mr. Miltel on this to make sure it was correct. We should have about $676,000 left in the fund, okay?
675,
676.
76. Yep, and then we also have like 459 in,
G8.
yeah.
But that'll just work its way down. You can't take that out of there, you can't do
Okay, so
anything.
we're not gonna deal with this, it's just,
Just this main
this is what
number.
we're dealing with. Your ideas are on this fund alone?
Right.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do, if I assign funds to certain things, then they can't be used for anything else, okay? So for the next year, 300,000 assigned for the intended use of deferred maintenance on facilities for 2 years for roof remodel, painting, lighting, carpeting, and flooring. Okay.
Is there a certain page?
You know, I don't, do you guys want a copy of this?
I think it'd be good to get a copy of it.
Okay,
so
let me
that
get you a quick copy.
We could have a conversation at the next meeting.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute.
Do we have service?
Yes.
So it'll be an emergency motion.
We can go into executive session if you want.
Okay. Well, I don't see it on the minutes, so we can.
We can still go into executive session to discuss.
Just have to be on the agenda.
No, we, that might be.
Okay, I'm just.
As long as we just.
I'm, walking on eggshells with everything, so
We
I'm
can go
just,
into executive session.
okay.
As long as we say what we're going in for.
Snow. Snow tomorrow. You always get more than us, right?
There's always that extra two of them. Hebron seems to get a lot too.
The secretary. Go to the clerk. The sign-in sheet.
No.
The Dan will get it. Dan.
Do you need one?
I'd like to have one.
You know, I'll get you one, I don't have one right now.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you can see what I've got written down here. 300,000 signed for 10 use deferred maintenance on facilities for 2 years for roof, room remodeling, paneling, carpeting, and flooring. 200,000 signed for the attendant of deferred maintenance on parks for 2 years, for fences, bleachers, outbuildings, ground repair and maintenance. 75,000 signed for 10 use of technology upgrades and replacements for 2 years, for computer screen monitors, network servers, software, cable. 75,000 signed for vehicle equipment replacement for 3 years for township and parks and other replacements.
So when you say for township, is that the assessor's office included in that?
No,
No, that's the next line down, Steve.
Oh,
Okay.
so how many vehicles does the park have?
I think there's 3.
I think they have 3. This doesn't mean we're actually doing this, guys. This is just protecting the money.
All right, but aside from the parks and the assessor's vehicles, the township, Qua Township has no
No,
vehicles.
no.
Can funds be transferred between these accounts?
I do not believe they can be, once you set it up.
The board could amend the budget. The board certainly can amend the
At
budget.
a different time.
I'm concerned, like, if you need a new vehicle, and there's not enough assigned to that particular fund, then you got a problem, but that can't be changed.
Yeah, it could be with an
Yeah,
amendment.
as long as they stay within this purview here,
Sure.
right?
So from what Stan is saying, does that mean if this is amended, it can only be amended on these 5 items here? It can't go outside of these 5 items?
Well, that's all the funds you have, so yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No. You can't amend the budget to take some of this and put it in the regular budget. If we're assigning this to these 5 different line items here, if this is amended, that would have to stay within the amendment of these 5 items? Is that what we're saying?
I believe so. Is that correct, Mr. Moore?
Actually, no.
That's not true.
You're saying as a board, these are budget items that we're gonna address now. We're gonna assign a certain amount. We plan to do these projects within a certain period of time. We've identified that. You may come back a year from now, you may come back 2 years from now and say, we didn't need vehicles. We're gonna put more money towards maintenance, or we're gonna put more money to, so this is just your budgeting of the funds available for these specific items today.
Or they could come back 5 weeks from now and do that.
They could do that too,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's basically,
But I guess my question would be, could they take some of this money that we're trying to protect here and put it someplace else in the budget for expenditures?
No, not,
Then that was my question.
Not in the budget, right?
So, yeah.
This could be moved around within these items, but it can't go elsewhere in the budget,
no, so
because it's assigned to these 5
you're
different
assigning it to
specific
these
areas.
specific things. If you then want to then later change that, you could change it, but right now, I guess the response would be, for example, you have a vehicle, to Stan's point, you have $75,000. Unless there's additional funds that are budgeted in the budget for vehicles or the contingency you decide to pull it from, this is what it's for unless you amend it.
I can understand. Okay, I got it. Okay,
Okay, so that was the answer to your question, Don, right?
yes.
All right. Then there was a question about, I think Mr. Brewer asked it, what it costs to run the town, or a comparison for the last 3 years, okay? So if we go back to 2019, 2020, we had,
well, you're referring to some page number.
I didn't bring it for everybody, did I? All right, so let me get those.
Mine are numbered.
Huh?
My pages are numbered.
No, we're talking about the fund balance.
Oh, the fund bill. Oh, I thought you were talking about number.
Mr. Militello.
Yes.
So, I'm a little bit fuzzy on these figures in the total amount, and whether they could be changed by the new board coming in. And what assurances do we have that they will be protected? I'm just a little queasy on that, I don't know.
You're talking about this sheet. Absolutely nothing.
Pardon me?
Nothing. There's no assurances.
The new board can change
Make
it.
sure there are.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a fact.
What's that?
The new board can change them. You have to accept that. It
So
is
what do
it
we
is.
have to do to make sure that these stay firm in the categories that they're in?
Hopefully, if that's the case, hopefully whatever board that comes in sees the same view as far as these particular items. There's nothing, I mean, there's
So
nothing.
basically, it's really nothing. It's hearsay.
Well, this is all based on the supervisor's
Yes, so-
ideation,
Yeah,
so.
so that's, the supervisor saying, we have $676,000 left. We're gonna take those $676,000 and identify specific things, capital item pieces that we may not do this year, that we may do over a period of time. And he then has identified the time period in which it'll be done and the specific project it would be done for. And so he's basically taken that $676,000 and spending it over the next 2 or 3 years on these projects.
I think what, in my words would be, Mike, is what they're saying is that money is assigned to these 5 different areas. It can't go out of those 5 areas.
That's
So
not
that
what
isn't
Jim
for
just said.
protection.
That's not what Jim just said. It could be changed.
Well, he said it to me earlier,
Yeah, so,
when I asked that. He
Yeah.
said it earlier.
and so, when you approve this, it's a snapshot at this point in time. So what that does then, it says, we've got $676,000 that's spoken for. The only way that changes is if another board changes this budget.
Well, you were saying they could add more items to this.
They could add more, they could subtract. They could change the funds within each one of those as well.
Well, Mr. Militello, maybe you can answer this. It's true that the 1819 and 1920 budgets were flat in terms of the levy, so the property taxes are flat. But I believe there was a reduction last year.
I believe you're right, yes.
So why is it to show more money in property taxes? Didn't we cut it by 5 or 10%? Not this last levy, but the levy before that. So this shows the opposite, that it was an increase.
If I look at this, the 2018 to 2019, and then 2019 to 2020, it looks like it went up about $500.
Well, 5,000.
Correct. No, 2,000. So
Well, maybe you're not looking at the same thing. I'm talking about page 2 at the very top line.
correct.
Cash revenues, property taxes.
So I've got for 2019, 2020, 1,281,000, and then 2020, 2021, 1,283,000. So it's about $1,900.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the budget total, not the actual. Okay.
Oh, I see what you said. Yeah.
But it still should be an appreciably lower number, because the levy was down 5%, or 10, wasn't it?
I think it was 10.
Yeah, so how is that possible?
I don't know. I'll have to pull the property tax extension worksheets really quickly and see.
Could that be new construction? The previous?
No, what it would have been is you still levied within the limiting rate. That limiting rate, I remember last time I said there was a number that's generated. You were still levying within that limiting rate, which means that whatever you levied, you would have gotten. Off the top of my head, I'm going to pull up, as we're sitting here, see if I can pull up the county tax extension worksheets, which show what we actually levied as a township for each of those years. So while we're sitting here, I'm going to try to pull those up as we speak.
Could there be increased values in the same homes?
You could act, what could cause is if the board said, this is the rate, we're not changing our rate, but then there was an increase in assessed value within the properties themselves, that would cause an increase.
Right.
Or the equalization factor change it.
The equalization factor certainly could cause that. But typically, the board levies for a dollar amount, says, we're gonna levy 1,280,000 or whatever, whatever that number is, so.
You're saying it has nothing to do with the assessment, it's a dollar amount.
I believe so, yeah, I believe that's how it got levied. But those are factors though, Stan, that go into the calculation of it.
Right, okay.
Thank you, Craig.
We need a calculator.
Pardon?
Thank you. Okay, what I'm showing you there is what we budgeted in the last 3 years. So anyways, there's been quite a difference, gentlemen, from when we started, so. If we look at 2019, total budget was 2.449. Can you see that?
Where, what page?
Well, it's
The top page.
I think it's your top page.
Right, it's talking about here.
2019-20. All right, and then we flip the next page, 2020 to 21, we went to 1.837724. And finally, right now, we're at 1.696450. So I did some rough calculations. I came up with a 41% total difference between all those years.
So on page 2, the handout, total town fund budget, town,
Which one are you looking at?
the 2019-20.
Yep.
Why is there a negative amount for the 2019-20 revised? So that's the last figure to the right.
I think that's what we took off the budget that year. That many dollars.
You mean from the 2018-19 budget?
Correct.
Well, why isn't the same format used for all these each year?
At some point, we switched formats. I don't know why, Steve.
Well, while you were gone, this question came up to me.
Okay.
So go back to the main town budget worksheet, okay? The third draft. And go to page 2.
Yes, there's a mistake there.
Where?
It shows $2,000 under senior bus grants. It should be under bus voucher books. Got put in the wrong line there. And can you read the numbers that are, we tried to make them a different color to show what we decided last time.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah, they're hard to see, I can tell you that, so.
But what I'm talking about is the very top line. Now, I wasn't on the initial board, but I understand that levy was kept flat.
It was kept flat.
And the same thing was done at the 1920 levy, right?
Correct.
But there's actually a reduction made in the 2021 levy. But that's not reflected here. And I'm just trying to figure out why. It was a 10% reduction in the levy, but yet it's not, the property taxes are even more than the flat year. So I'm like, how the heck
No,
did
wait a
this
minute.
happen?
I don't think we reduced the levy, did we? That year? We stayed flat again, and we got more than we thought.
I think it was flat, yeah.
Yeah, it was flat.
So there was no reduction that year?
No,
We're going to reduce the levy.
Oh.
this is the first time you've reduced the levy.
All right.
So you can see they're all very similar. Sometimes you get a little more, sometimes you get a little less.
I just looked at the McHenry County Clerk's Office website for the 2018, 2019, and 2020 tax years, and the corporate fund levy by this board for 2018 was $1,285,900. The 2019 one was $1,285,900. So they were exactly the same.
Right, they were exactly the same.
And then 2020 was $750.
Right, they were the same.
Okay, I stand corrected then. I guess I was trying to cut it that year. So, what has to be corrected with the grants, senior bus grants?
There is none. If you look on that page, we just typed it in the wrong column. There's 2,000 under senior bus grants, there is none. And that 2,000 should go down to bus voucher books.
Oh, okay.
We just missed it by a line. When you're doing all these numbers, sometimes you put them in the wrong spot.
From the last meeting, when you get in here, you had $2,000 in there for training and the perspective, the town TOI magazine, it came out this well, last week, I got it last week, it said that those meetings are gonna be virtual.
Okay,
So you won't need 2,000 for training.
Where,
okay.
what page are you
Bob's
talking
moving
about?
around.
I'm just going through my mind from the last meeting, I didn't want to forget this, so when I read the magazine, the front page said that those meetings are gonna be virtual. And when I brought up at the last meeting about the 2,000, Craig said, well, that'll be to send, if people want to go to TOI's meetings, that money would be used for that. But if it's virtual, you won't need that 2,000.
You know, you've got 2,500.
It's
in there.
2,500.
The 2,500, yeah. So to me,
It's on the next page. So we'll reduce that to maybe 1,000.
well, what does it cost for virtual?
25?
25, sometimes 50, I think, sometimes 75, depending which one you're doing.
So what are you gonna reduce it to, you thought?
I was gonna say 1,000.
1,000? I don't want to argue it.
Okay.
And then the only other comment I've got from my memory, and what you got in here is on the last page for general assistance. You have supervisor's salary. Is that your benefits involved there from this year too? Or just salary? When you said 11,916.
What page are you?
On the last, it's page 11. It's
Yeah. That
for
includes
general
my-
assistance budget.
that includes my benefits and my salary for next year, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, but what about this year though? What would,
We don't need this year.
I need it for my own situation of when I see what it costs for general assistance, I'd like to know what that figure was for this fiscal year then.
Okay.
So that certainly would have to be, I'm not talking about future, I'm talking about what was spent this year. And what would be the cost for Debbie in there?
Debbie's already in here somewhere.
Huh?
She's already in here.
Can you say where?
Let's see.
Under salaries.
So you've got two part-time there?
Right.
It doesn't say where Debbie's, is she part-time there?
She's part-time.
So we're on page 11, right?
Right.
Correct.
So then this would have to be revised for what your numbers, because I think, was it last week, Steve, it came out, you said like 20% of your time was spent on there?
I believe that's what we came up with.
So that, so I'd like to know what that would be.
Okay. I'll go back and get that. I don't have it with me, so I'll figure it.
That's really all I've got.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand where Debbie's salary is in page 11.
He says it's in where it says the two-part people, the salaries under personal services, expenses, salaries, the first line is at 46,635.
So that's on another page?
No, it's not the same.
No, if you look on that page, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Oh,
You see
okay,
expenses,
okay.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
personal services, and then salaries.
Okay.
Then it's got all the benefits underneath there,
Yep.
which is 59,000 total. So that would have in the healthcare and everything else in there.
Right.
So how does it really work?
Where do you see 59?
Is it,
I've got 46. And
can we just say, what, half of Debbie's?
Half her
is
time
it?
is in there, basically.
And who's the other half?
Total expenses when I get back.
Or who's the other part-time person?
We never got another part-time person. We only got Debbie right now.
Expenses, total expenses. There it is, right here. There it is.
Well, how long have we not had that person?
Since we let the person go over a year ago, I believe.
Well, how have we been able to do it without that person?
It's very difficult, Steve, that's what I'm telling you. It's just, you know, you were mentioning calls last month, and you had the wrong column, I think. There's 100 to 200 calls a month, you know, and we're only tracking the ones that come in on voicemail and the ones that are left messages for.
Well, how else could they be calling in?
They get called direct to get us. We don't track those necessarily. So it just takes lots and lots of time to do the paperwork. It's just unfortunate, but it is the way it is.
I know, but most of these calls are just a 2-minute thing.
No, if they call, they have the right to apply, okay? So we gotta
Yeah,
explain.
I'm not saying that. I'm talking about how much time you actually spend on these calls.
It varies, Steve.
I know it varies,
I
but the
can't-
vast majority of calls are, you can screen them out pretty fast.
No, I can't. It's so you don't understand. They have to be offered the application, and then they fill out the application. They have to bring it in or email it in. Then we gotta get all the information that is required on that application.
I know, but you're trying to make it sound like these calls are exorbitant or something.
They-
Okay, you say, someone calls in, bing, bing, bing,
Mhm.
Mr. Supervisor, I want money from the township.
Mhm.
What do you say?
First thing I'm gonna tell them is, you have every right to apply, and our application's online.
Okay. And what else?
Right, but then they do apply, most of them.
Yeah, but we're only talking about the calls now. You say.
You don't understand.
Some
You
calls.
don't understand, then we gotta call back.
You gotta call back when they do the application?
After they do the application, and then we gotta call them back, and we gotta get all the information they haven't given us.
Okay, well, I can assure you, there's a drop-off between the number of people you say you gotta fill out an application and the ones that actually do.
Sure, there's some, but, you know, I can't tell you exact numbers, but I mean,
Well, I'm not asking for exact numbers. I would say it's more than half.
that's probably, I'd say that might be about right. But so then you're left with, out of 200 calls, you're left with what? 100 people you gotta deal with. That's in 1 month.
No, what I'm trying to figure out is why you budgeted somebody as a part-time person here when you've gotten it for a whole year without that person.
We have, but it's been very, very difficult. You don't understand. It's taken,
No, I do understand, and that's your job.
I do the job. but
That's
I'm
the
telling-
one job you're mandated to do.
I may be mandated to do that, but I also have many other duties that I have to do. So what I'm telling you is, it's just a big, long process, and that's all I can tell you.
Well, it just seems preposterous to me. Here we are in a budget, you say desperately need a part-time person, but you haven't, have you actively tried to get a person?
No, we never had a budget, that's what I'm telling you.
No, it was never budgeted precisely like this, but you always had the ability to hire someone to take up the slack.
Where was I gonna get the money from?
From contingency or whatever else you can shift around, you can come to the board and say, we need money for this, for that.
Well, let's leave it at this. We're gonna stay the same as we are for now, and we'll look at it at a different time.
Well, then it's just a ghost
It
person.
should be one part-time in there. Let's just make it one.
What's Debbie's salary total? Just approximately. I'm not talking about benefits.
I don't know, in the 50,000.
I don't think this is a good subject. for-
Yeah, we shouldn't be.
Why? We're doing the
It's
budget.
public
We can do it in
information.
closed session.
We're doing the
No,
budget.
it's a public information, we're not changing any salaries, it's all public.
We're trying to figure out
information.
how much is what. So if she's spending about half her time on general assistance,
Mhm.
that would be 25,000 or so.
And I was just talking salary, so there's benefits and stuff in there, so $30,000 range probably.
But that's these other lines,
Oh,
right?
you're right, I'm sorry.
So that is taken into account.
You're right, it is.
So the benefits, this other part-time person, is that a real part-time person, or is it somebody who works half for GA and half something else? So that, like Debbie's considered part-time for this category, even though she has many other things to do in another sphere.
Correct.
So this part-time person that you want, is that person a real part-time person that only works part-time for GA? Or is it like a half person, like Debbie is?
No, it would be just for GA.
So you're saying that Debbie's health benefits are only about less than $3,000 a year for her health insurance?
It's probably right, she's about 6,000, 7,000 maybe. You add those two together twice. Because she's single coverage.
But how much is it? I'm just trying to get an accurate idea of it, okay? I'm not trying to nickel and dime on the thing,
Yeah, I
all right?
understand.
So if that part-time person comes out of the budget,
Mhm.
how much do these other expenses change?
Well, that other part-time person wouldn't have any of those other things, so.
And can you identify what WCS means on that?
That's our HRA for health reimbursement account. That means the worst case scenario, they get a percentage back on health-related expenses through HRA. So if everybody claimed their total amount, okay, everybody won't, but if they did, we have to know what that is. So that's what that means. You can see that varies from year to year. If you look back at 2018-19, it was 3,900.
And for all the other employees, assessor, flow and all that, that HRA shows up where? On page 8, for example, for the parks. How is this, I'm just trying to figure out how on earth these figures are arrived at. Because they certainly aren't based on the prior year.
No, we've been reducing things, Steve, as much as we can.
The PHRA seems to be,
The HRA is, I'm not, maybe not quite right on this, but it's like 65% back of what you pay out in medical expenses that aren't until you get to your deductible, which is very high here. It's for two people, it's like $16,000, I believe.
what does HRA actually stand for?
Health reimbursement account.
And that's based on the whole, each person who works for the township has such an account, right?
Correct.
Even you?
Correct. But I won't have it coming up.
Oh, right. So, what you're budgeting for is if everyone maximizes.
Correct. That's what we're budgeting for. Just to be safe. Because it could, is it going to happen? Probably not, but it very well could also happen. Everybody could all of a sudden go into the doctor for who knows what reasons and claiming all their expenses.
Well, I don't think these are realistic figures.
We always budget it that way, Steve. Just
I know that's always been done that way,
Right.
but that doesn't mean you make it right. If this was an ordinary company,
correct.
like Boeing or,
Boeing or whatever, I think would do it that way too, because
no, they wouldn't do it
okay,
that way.
because they can pull money from anywhere. I can't.
Yeah, you can. You got a contingency fund. Right?
Correct. But then our contingency fund.
If I was a shareholder
Our contingency fund needs to be larger.
and Boeing
Cover
had
this stuff.
this 400 times size, I'd say, wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. Based on the histories. Mr. Militello, can you offer anything about this?
On the HRA, those are going to be computations based on what you've previously done in the past. I guess the salaries, if what I'm hearing is with Social Security, IMRF, health insurance, those number, if in fact those numbers have nothing to do with the additional part-time person,
They do not.
then it would be my understanding that $46,000 would be somewhere around $30,000. For 25, between 25 and 30,000.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the whole HRA expenditure?
No, he's talking about HRA.
I'm talking about the salary.
He's talking about HRA expenses.
Yeah,
And I was saying we budget for the worst case scenario in case it would all get used.
but that HRA is relative to Debbie and not the part-time person.
Correct, he's just talking in general.
Well, I'm talking about the Parks HRA. On page 8. Where's the assessor's HRA?
And the one to,
And that's a younger census too, right?
in the assessor's office?
Yeah. An insurance census of likely
I would say,
claimants.
most of them aren't that young in that office. I would say there might be one person in his 40s, the rest are all 50s or 60s, I'd say.
Well, the assessor's representatives who descended on my house a year and a half ago were definitely under 40. Okay.
There's only one guy, I believe, that's under 40.
I realize that other
No,
guy isn't
and then-
employed anymore,
Maybe that could be what happened, I don't know.
but
I would say their census probably isn't that much different than the rest of the township.
all right, so on page 3, the HRA support. And it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 lines down.
Yes, yeah.
Is that the is that total or what? That's total for the entire township, right? Or we're not including the GA and all, and
We're
the
not-
parks and all that?
No, it's just the township, you're correct.
So the assessor isn't even in that?
No, assessors in their own budget.
Well, how many employees are we talking about for that? For this, for admin? It's Flo, right?
Flo, Debbie, Terry,
Well,
reception.
no, it's Debbie half. Right, she's a part-time
Oh,
for
that's
that
right.
one.
And then, Flo, Debbie, Terry, and a receptionist.
The HRA for the assessor, the actual last year is 8,000, she's got 30,500 here. That's questionable, I guess, when I look at that.
But if you go, well, I'm looking at page 3.
I'm gonna look at page 6 here,
Page 6, okay.
assessor division.
Is Bill
And
included in that as well?
I'm sorry.
Is Bill
In the
included?
parks.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is there's a built-in thing in the budget for all this dross that's then transferred into the fund, general fund when it's not used, right?
That is correct.
Well, another thing that I can make head or tail of is the line right below that on page 3. The elected HRA,
You know what? I'm thinking about that. That should not be there.
well, right, the assessor's part should still include her
Right,
for part of the fiscal year,
correct.
but that should be zeroed out, right? Oh, no,
No, it should
there's
be-
still till May, there's a month and a half on that.
Yeah, that's all there is.
Yeah, okay. So it should be some number, but definitely not like that. Right?
We're looking at the assessor now?
No, we're looking at,
Page 3, he's talking about electric.
Oh, okay. Well, this hasn't changed. I look back at 2019-20, actual was 15,634.
yeah, I know, but you only got a month and a half left after the actual is done. All these figures are in, right, March 31st?
As of March 31st, yeah. But what I'm saying is, some years it goes very high, some years it doesn't.
Yeah, but it's never exceeded it, has it?
I don't think so, no.
So, what it is just a budgeted item that's hidden every year and then goes into the general fund for the excess.
Well, that's not what it's meant to be doing. It's not meant to do that.
But that's in effect what has happened.
And that is correct.
Whether by, I'm not saying it's by design, it's
No, it's not by design.
by actuality. Well,
Are we gonna lower that number?
the 17,550,
I'm sorry. what-
yeah, it's got to be lower. And I would say drastically lower.
Well, Steve, I'm just looking. It was 15,000 one year there.
Well, let's get back to the HRA accounts.
Okay.
What basis are those accounts? Are those fiscal year, calendar year, what?
Those are budget year.
Okay, then it's easy to do. And who came up with the HRA? Is that in the employee handbook or what? In other words, do you even have to have it?
Yeah, because we have a large deductible, that's why it came into play.
No. Is
You
there
have to have it?
Is there some rule, Mr. Militello, that the township must have a reimbursement?
No.
And what's the reimbursement rate?
Well, what you're budgeting for is.
No, we're budgeting. What? All right, say somebody,
I think it's 65 or 70% of your expense.
before the deductible.
Before the deductible, but the deductible is very large. That's where it came into play.
Okay, what is the deductible?
What is our deductible, Debbie,
For what?
for a single person, let's say?
What is the deductible for
Yeah.
a single person? I think it's like seven. I can look that up.
Yeah, we can look up and tell you.
I can look that up.
Seven.
I think it's like 7,000 for a single and 14,500 or something
for-
I can get you the deductibles.
All right.
The HRA is based on a calendar year.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's based on calendar.
Yes,
I am wrong, it's based on
it's
calendar.
based on a calendar year. And the worst case scenarios is, for the elected officials, is based on if something happens up until their benefits end, which is in May.
Oh, that's true.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So say you went into the hospital and something major happened
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever, that would be the worst case scenario.
What it's trying to do, Steve, is, that deductible is very large, people can't afford that. We went to that deductible, so the insurance would be cheaper.
Yeah, I know, but we're basically becoming, it's part of their insurance benefit package then, when they get employed by the township. We're gonna cover 65% of their deductible.
Correct, because it makes it much cheaper on our overall insurance, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Our insurance would
No,
probably be,
I'm not saying it doesn't make
I was
sense.
gonna say our insurance would be double or triple.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
But,
that's how we're saving on insurance.
so what does the employee handbook say about it?
It says exactly that, you get a reimbursement of, I don't remember exactly, Steve, if it's 65 or 70%, up until your deductible is met. Once your deductible is met, then the insurance kicks in at 100%.
So the person that did pay in on a deductible, do they make the claim or is it somehow automatically done for them?
Say that again. You mean they make this claim for the HRA?
Well, just say this $11,598 deductible that was paid out as of March 31st.
Right.
How did they come to be paid out?
We go through a third company that handle, we submit our claims to them, and then they either deny or say they're correct or not correct, and then tell us, they'll cut a check.
So what is the name of that company?
EBC?
Is it EBC now?
Yeah.
And what does that stand for?
Employee Benefit
It's a
Corp.
corporation.
And that's in our budget here?
Yes.
Is another expense?
No. Well, yeah, somewhere I suppose it is. They get some.
Okay, so where is that?
What?
Where is
EBC,
EBC in
where do
our
they get
budget?
paid from?
Where does that come under?
We don't pay EBC.
We don't pay EBC.
No.
Okay.
It's part of Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh, okay.
Single deductible is $65.50, and a family is $13.5.
So the deductible is very large.
And who determined that it would be at the 65 or 70%?
That's part of the plan, how it's set up.
That's how it's set up.
That's how we got the rates we got. Bob, you're familiar with all that information, no?
I don't
From when you
understand
went
part
through
of the plan.
Last time?
I remember on
Because
the
it's the
insurance
same.
plan that the deductible was high.
Correct.
We talked about that.
Yeah, because you were in those meetings.
Right.
All right.
But I also question somebody's notes, particularly though for the assessor's division of wanting 30,000 of that when the expenditures doesn't show that. So I think, I don't have any problem with that benefit there, but the numbers could be questionable as far as how much we're budgeting for, put it that way.
For the assessor's HRA?
Yeah.
Well, you're saying all HRAs, because we're budgeting the
It's
worst.
just based on the worst case scenario. That's if everybody used their full benefit.
I explained that already.
But that's never happened.
It has not, where every person has, but we have had people that have used their full benefit.
Yeah, fine. But we're now budgeting for a census of how many people insured.
Well, you can make it whatever you want.
Yep. I'm just saying, who came up with the 70%? Did a board do that at some time? And it's just stayed through, or what?
You mean the HRA part?
Yeah.
That's part of the insurance.
Okay, so what
We
is,
separated it out from the insurance to the HRA just to show the two differences.
yeah, but but when we pay the insurance bill, we're not paying the HRA bill. That's why it's a
Yes,
separate
we
line
are.
item.
Yes, we are. It's all part of the Blue Cross Blue Shield bill.
Then why is it a separate line item for the town?
They did it to be more transparent.
What do you mean they did?
Prior boards. It was done a long time ago when it first came up in order to get the rates that we did through the insurance. And they just wanted to show that.
Yeah, I know, but who sets this deductibility reimbursement percentage?
The Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's part of our policy.
Okay, what is the percentage? 65 or 70%? What is it?
65. So for a single.
Yeah, I'd like to see that in their contract.
You want a copy of this?
This is just what you give the employees, right? I'm talking about the actual.
No, that's what we got from Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah, to give to the employees.
Right, and it explains
okay.
what the HRA is for a single and for a family. Does that make sense to you? So this is the single, 6550, 6550. That's what it is. That's the max that could be paid out. Same here. Family, 13.5, 13.5. That's the max that can be paid out per person.
All right, so it's not the calendar year or the fiscal year, the township.
It's on the
this year.
calendar year.
Well, then why did you have this on there?
Because our insurance goes from June 1st to May 31st. But we base the HRA amount on a calendar year.
Why isn't it based on the same year?
Because your deductible is based on a calendar year.
Your insurance deductible is based upon the calendar year.
The calendar year of
But our
of
policy doesn't,
expenses?
the renewal of the policy is different than the plan policy.
Correct.
If that makes sense. Their plans are based on a calendar year.
But everybody's HRA account is based on what?
Calendar year.
Calendar. So Steve, I can help see what you're saying. You want to go in here and reduce some of these HRA numbers?
But this isn't, where's the contract for Blue Cross where they pay EBC for us to do this?
Oh, that I don't know. I'd have to go into the actual policy. You were asking about HRA.
All right, so it renewed on January 1st. The Blue Cross Blue Shield deductible
Right.
is a calendar year deductible.
Correct.
Which will renew on 1/1/21.
Correct.
But
our policy only goes through May 31st, 2021.
Policy renewal date is different than
Right. The policy renewal is different than the plan dates.
Well, from an accounting point of view, it's kind of a nightmarish thing.
It is. But we've tried to get the dates changed and they won't do that. That's their policy.
So anyways.
What if people go to an outside provider? Then they have to individually submit their reimbursement claim?
They all individually submit their reimbursement.
Yes.
How often does that happen?
I don't know. We don't track that. They do it on their own.
They do it on their own, and there's probably something there's claims every month, that I can tell you.
And that's what some of these bills are that the township board approves, right?
No.
Well, how are they getting paid then?
Who?
The people
Out of
that,
out of what we're just talking about here.
no, the people
No.
that are outside of the system, they got their own doctor, they didn't go through Blue Cross.
If they're out of net, I don't know how that happens. They don't get reimbursed for that. They'd have to use the insurance and it's either in network or out of network.
Yeah, out of network.
But if if they go out of network, then it goes through the insurance and it's a different rate of out of network. You don't get as much of the benefit from the insurance plan.
So it encourages it to stay in network.
But we are reimbursing people who are out of network, right? So where does it show up? On the budget?
That comes out of the HRA.
That's what we're saying.
That's the line item for HRA.
That's the HRA right there.
That's part of the HRA.
Correct.
It's part of it.
That's where it would come out of the HRA.
But since you don't have EBC doing that, who's doing
No,
it?
EBC does do the
Does do that.
HRA.
Yeah, it does the HRA for Blue Cross, but it's not doing the HRA for these people.
Yes, it
does.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Well, how does that work?
I don't know how ABC gets, I don't know how that works.
When every employee's information is sent to EBC, they decide whether they want a check sent to them or if they want it direct deposited into their account. They give EBC that information, and that's how it's done.
Okay, the check sent to them, where is that check coming from?
Out of.
From the
right here.
township,
From HRA. so-
it comes out of our HRA line
HRA.
item.
So EBC is telling you how much to give them.
Correct. And when you do the paid prior bills and you have that bill for EBC, it's in your bills every month.
All right, so someone,
That is the HRA bill.
well, it's just a blanket bill. It doesn't show exactly who's getting what.
The individual claims are probably not attached to that, no.
Yeah, so.
But it's coming out of the account.
But it comes out of the payroll HRA. And you see a check cut to EBC. And I have to match all the claims
All right, so.
to that check.
So then EBC is paying the people directly.
Correct. And we in turn pay EBC.
Correct.
Well, EBC is never a line item, it's just,
It's not a line item, it comes out of the health insurance
It's HRA
reimbursement.
supported, that's all we're giving HRA, whatever.
We
the
can
thing-
change HRA to EBC and that would make it more,
no, it wouldn't.
yeah, it would, because that's what it is.
Because you still got a certain percentage of people who are outside the system.
They would
Turning
still
in
go
their
through,
bills.
they would still go, no, they don't turn them into us. It all goes through EBC.
And EBC decides what's valid and what's not valid.
Even the out-of-network go through EBC.
What do you do with mistakes? People come to
Flo-
you and say, hey, this is
Flo
all
checks,
screwed up.
Flo works on all of that. She deals with any mistakes or any questions or any issues that may come up with that.
Well, is there ever a mechanism in place for the township to recover money that was wrongly paid?
Yeah.
That's subsequently found
Yes,
out?
that has happened.
Where does it show up on?
And if you
And
go
it-
back to HRA,
Goes back to
if
the
the
line item.
HRA paid too much, it would go back to the HRA.
Well, it should show up as income too.
It's not income.
Not income.
That's not income.
Well, then how does the board ever keep track of this money coming in?
It's not actual money coming
It's not-
in. It was money that was taken out incorrectly.
Yeah, it was
So
money
it's
paid
not
out
income.
incorrectly, and
It's-
now it's coming back in, so there's no.
Then you would be counting it as income twice, and that's not correct.
It goes back to the line item
It
where
goes back to the direct
where
line
it came
item
out.
when that
You
happens.
don't count it twice.
Mr. Motel, do you have any ideas about that?
I think that was an issue that was raised at one time with the auditors as far as how to reflect if there's income that does come in relative to the HRA account, instead of creating the revenue line item. I
That it
thought
would
the
go
process was to have, if you were to print that report out, you would see negatives and positives, and if there was any positives, that would be the money coming back.
Correct.
The auditors have told us to do it this way.
Yeah, it's to go right back to the
Well,
line item.
as a side observation, that's precisely why you get new auditors in every
Correct.
every so often.
We're working on it.
So that, okay,
But they're all following general accounting principles.
Correct.
well, we hope they are.
They are.
They are.
They have to.
Want me to make copies of that for you?
Yeah. Well, they aren't. That's why they told you that it has to be corrected.
No, they didn't tell us it had to be corrected. They wanted it this way. Okay. So let's get back to do we want to reduce those line items?
Yeah, to some measure of reality.
Okay, I hear you. Let's talk about that.
No, I kick myself because it should have been found in prior budgets.
I understand what you're saying. So let's just look at page 3.
And this only accounts for Flo, Debbie part-time, and who else?
And Terry and the receptionist. And at one time myself.
Why isn't Terry on the parks?
Because Terry does all kinds of, he's more overall, everything.
All right, so the final budget is going to show a drastic reduction in HRA elected for the 21-22 proposed.
Why would you put a number out now, Steve?
Hold on a second, let me think about this.
Is it divided up?
Yeah,
Different areas here.
elected, you're right, I've still got, what? Till May, so I've got April, May, yeah, so.
Is there a deadline on how many, when people have to put in for the reimbursement? I mean, what's the lag time on all this?
I believe they have to put it in within, they have to put it in within that calendar year, you can't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Well, what if the medical expense was in calendar year 1, but they didn't get the bill or anything until calendar year 2?
They have till March 31st.
Okay, that's what it is, they have till March 31st.
Right, to submit any bills for the prior year's plan.
For the
So they
prior-
have 3 months
They have a
from when the
3-month
plan ends.
Right. Because just for what you said, Steve, what if the bill doesn't come in?
Okay.
But then if they don't submit it, they're out.
Yeah, right, then they're
They're
out.
out.
And if they do go out of network, their deductible increases to $20,000. just so you know.
But they don't really submit anything.
Who doesn't submit anything?
The individual employee.
Yes, they do. They
Yeah.
have to fill out a form, and they have to attach the
You
bill,
have to submit your EOBs,
your EOB, your
right.
estimate for your,
What if they don't get it by their provider for 4 months afterward? Are they out then?
Then they're out.
Then they're
But
out.
I would say Blue Cross Blue Shield, we've never had that issue. Because we get the EOBs from them.
Yeah, but what about the people that are out of plan?
They get their bills.
they still get an EOB through.
Yeah, they
Blue
still
Cross
get
Blue
an
Shield.
EOB because it's still submitted through the insurance.
So someone's on vacation in Mexico.
Then they don't get it.
Then they don't have it, you're not covered in other country.
I guess you go to the doctor, you know you're going to be there. They usually give you something when you leave. This is your bill for the services, or they give you a sheet coded that tells you what you had done that day. I mean, you know you were just at the doctor. It's up to the employee to track their own medical bills. That's the employee's responsibility.
Who manages the HRA account for each person?
Flo?
Blue Cross?
Well, no,
Oh,
EBC really does.
EBC would,
Yeah.
right. EBC is the third-party administrator for all of the insurance claims.
What if claims are paid? And you said there were mistakes made. Incorrectly. Does it ever go back to the employee to repay it? Or does EBC get stuck with them?
What do you mean? Ask your question again.
He's saying if they got paid too much by accident, somehow.
Who did?
An employee, but I don't know that,
I've never had that situation.
It's never happened.
Usually it's something they didn't get paid for,
Yeah, usually
even though they submitted.
they forgot to submit something, or they didn't get paid.
I would have to ask Flo if that's ever happened, but I
think
don't
that-
believe that's
It
ever
can't be,
happened.
because EBC decides what they're gonna get, so they can't get paid too much.
But if that was the case, we would just go to the employee and say, hey, you were overpaid for this claim. And I would imagine they would pay it back.
Yep.
Or we do a payroll deduction. I
Or do
don't
a
know.
payroll deduction, yeah, but it's never, I don't think
I
it's ever
don't
happened.
believe that's ever happened. If anything, they've short paid them, not overpaid them. Not saying that it couldn't happen. They're just as human as we are.
But to my knowledge, no one's ever been overpaid.
All right, so the HRA and the assessor's office. page 6.
Page 6, 7? Page 6.
6.
And I realize you're not really in charge of them, but how many people are we talking about?
7.
Where are they?
7.
7 or 6?
Yeah. 'cause
But he's really in charge of setting the number here, though.
Actually, it'd be 6. Sorry.
6.
6
Yeah.
plus the assessor. Is that
No,
right?
the assessor is under elected officials under administration.
I know, but in reality, the assessor's office has 6 employees and the assessor, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
But if you look at last year, Steve, it was 8239. That was actual.
But then go back to 2018-20, it was 14,636.
So we're still 15,000 over that number.
Well, it's a 50% overflow, okay.
Even if you go with the highest number we have in front of us.
It's
Well, why was it
worst case
raised
scenario.
$500
It
when it was
goes
such,
back to the general
when it was
fund.
a little over half from what it was the prior year?
I'm sorry, what?
Why, instead of the 30,000 just being carried
Oh.
over, why was it an extra $500 added?
I have no idea, I didn't do this. Done by
Could
this.
be somebody's insurance changed.
Okay, so is it safe to say that this assessor's budget was presented by the assessor?
It is fair to say that. Yeah, what might have happened there, Steve, I understand that. People change plans, you know what I'm saying? They all of a sudden put their wife on the plan that she wasn't,
Or a child.
or they put their child on the plan they weren't. So there's probably a reason that went up like that. That happens during the year a lot. People,
Well, if
change.
she's not here to defend ourselves, I think it's up to us to cut it.
Well, she said she'd come in if you want to talk to her.
Well, find out I think she's got to explain that number, or somebody's got to explain that
Well,
number.
that's the worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario is based on the employees and the type of insurance they have. If it has changed, it's probably because somebody has changed their status of insurance.
So you're saying the worst case scenario could be $15,000?
Correct. That is if everybody was to use or to get sick.
Well, wait a minute.
No, the worst case scenario is 30,500.
I'm not looking at
Well,
the
no, I'm
sheet.
going back to 1920, the biggest number you've got here, the actual is 14,636.
Well, you can't predict who's going to get sick and who isn't that year or the next year. So you base it on the worst case that could happen is if every single person in that department gets sick and they were to use all their benefit available.
Are these people actually here on site, or is this all remote now
What?
No, they're outside.
for the assessor's office?
They're all here.
So where's the
They're not
2,000, where'd be the, actually it's 32,000 between the 2020-21 budget and the actual, where's that money at?
Say that one more time.
Well, we have the 2021 budget, the budget, okay? Look at that figure there.
Uh-huh.
Look at the actual, it's less than say 8,000.
Right.
Well, where's that money at?
That money just stays in the general fund. It didn't go anywhere.
And so that's another area where we keep.
Right. Now, the other thing is.
So I think these numbers have to be sharper.
All right. So the other thing you want to take into consideration is you had me update these year-end numbers. So when he updated those year-end numbers, I had already changed anything that was a line item transfer that we took out. So I don't know if we used any HRA accounts or not for a line item transfer at the regular board meeting. Because that would change that number. What was budgeted.
Correct. Remember when we did those line item transfers, that money has to come from line
Somewhere.
items that weren't used.
Because you're only allowed to take 10% of a line item and move it to
Right.
somewhere. So when we did that last month, that can make a difference in the numbers too. But if you don't use that line item, it stays there, it doesn't go anywhere. It's in the general fund. It's in your fund balance.
Do we know how much is in that fund right now?
In the fund balance, do you have that?
No, I do not.
So that's a discrete fund.
No,
No, it's shown on your sheets every month.
yeah, it's on your sheet every month.
Well, maybe it should be a discrete fund.
What do you mean by that? I don't understand.
Why would you want
That
to?
there's a lockbox on it. So the money can't be changed by a subsequent board to loot the HRA.
That money can't be changed, no.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, the salary figure is wrong for the elected assessor, okay?
No,
No.
because she goes from,
I know she does.
she's
but-
only missing,
But she's still got 3 months where she's gonna have a reduction.
correct, and I believe
There's a
that
3-month reduction and the other 9 months are at the current rate.
at the full rate, so that, I don't know that that's wrong, Steve. That was figured.
No, it's correct.
It's correct. It's only 2 months. I'm sorry, no, it isn't.
It's 3.
You're right, it's 3. That's why that's like that, because
So
her,
that's that's less than a $2,000 reduction a month. Her salary was reduced significantly more than that.
she was reduced to 45,000, I believe, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, but this was figured out.
Yeah.
It's figured out to be right. There's nothing extra in there, that's what she's gonna get paid for that year.
I'll grab the actual.
Well, it's not right.
Well, Debbie went to get the sheet for us, sir. What are you coming up with, Steve?
Should be reduction of 2583.
I'm coming up with 68,866.50. And the only reason I'm saying that is I'm taking the 76,822 divided by 12, and then multiplying that times 3, or 9 times 9, and then taking the 45 divided by 12 times 3, and I came up with 68,866.50.
Okay, let's Debbie get the sheet. We'll figure it out.
Right. I guess that'd be the way to do it. She might be in a lower tax bracket, I don't know. But the thing is, she's got nothing down here for overtime for any employees.
She doesn't plan on using it, I guess.
So when we did the budget last year for the assessor's office, there's an extra person there, right?
No, I don't believe it's changed. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll think about that. I think it's been the same, Steve. Maybe if you look back to 1920, there might have been another person there because it's higher that year.
Well, she was complaining when she bothered to attend the meetings. She was complaining that she couldn't find anyone to work for the township, okay? Despite her efforts at replacing someone that had either left or been let go or fired, I don't know. But, so there should be a full year without that extra person.
And that would be, well, that would certainly be this year. So right there it shows 226, 670, 730.
Are we still on the assessor's salary?
Yeah.
All right, so
Hold on, let's go back.
59,094 is what's continued to be paid. And then the last 3 months, it'll be 11,500, which comes up to 70,594.
Say that again, Deb. $59,000.
$59,094 is what is to be continued through December. So it goes from April 1st through December. And then from January to March is 11,500 based on the new salary of 45,000, which gives you a total of 70,594.
That was a quick question. Are you paid twice a month or every 2 weeks?
I can't hear you, I
Are
apologize.
you paid twice a month or every 2 weeks?
No, it's every 2 weeks.
every 2
So
weeks.
there may be a third pay check in there,
That's what the variance
That's
is.
the variance.
depending upon the month.
He came up with 68,000, but that's still in the ballpark.
It's
that's-
70,594
that's-
based on the pay period.
Based upon the pay periods, because there could be an extra pay period.
There could be a couple
Yeah,
of them,
there's
actually,
26 pay periods.
depending upon which months have the extra pay period.
Yeah, there's usually 2 at least.
In a calendar year, there's usually 2, but this is an overlap, so I don't know how many there are off the top of my head without looking at a calendar.
So that's in the ballpark.
It's right
I
there.
think we should move along.
It's right, I think we
No,
should,
the health insurance isn't in the ballpark.
We're talking about salaries.
you're talking about the
We're
HRA.
talking about the entire budget, okay, so, how is,
Can we move past the salaries then? You were talking about the salaries.
yeah, we are moving past.
Okay.
Okay,
Stay with
that's
us.
all I want.
So for, when does the health insurance contract expire?
May 31st, 2021.
So these figures are with a built-in increase in the health insurance,
Correct.
even though everybody's rates have gone down because people haven't been getting their ordinary medical care because of COVID and all the rest. It's been across the board nationwide reduction in insurance rates.
We've been told they're going up.
Well, when's this contract going to be signed?
Not till May probably.
May what?
I don't know when you guys will have the final
Yeah, I don't know
stuff.
when it'll be final.
I think
Middle of
there's-
May, I'd say, I don't know. End of May.
I don't know when that meeting's taking place to go over it again.
Well, who's at the
Because for the
meeting?
government plans, there's only 2 available right now that would even qualify.
Yeah, we only qualify for 2 different plans, United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're the ones that will take us. Based upon, I don't understand all.
I don't know how
Bob,
that
you
all,
remember that?
Bob was part of that.
I was.
It's the same kind of thing this year. There's only 2 we qualify for. I'm not in on those meetings, so I don't know all the details.
I know auto insurance plans pay back monies to people.
Mine went up.
Mine went up though too, so. I don't think I got a rebate either.
I didn't get nothing. doesn't pay to be a safe driver anymore.
Risk management is what?
Insurance. Oh, no, that's,
That's torn up.
it's torn.
When does that contract begin and end?
Should be coming pretty soon. Yep, we haven't got anything.
But when did it come 4 years ago?
It usually comes sometime in April, maybe May.
Well, seems to me the postage is too high. That could be cut to 600.
Pardon me? Sorry.
Postage could be cut to 600. It's just 400 the last couple of years.
It was 400 less. It probably could. That has not been adjusted. Flo's just getting the final numbers now. So the final number is probably in there, so it probably could be adjusted. But I do have to go now. They're here.
Okay.
Okay, so the,
Do you want Mary in here? She was here, but do you guys want Mary in for questions?
Well,
she should be here.
unless somebody can explain that 30,500 from 8,000, I think we should lower it.
The HRA number.
Oh, the HRA is the worst case scenario, Bob. So if every one of those employees, it'd be that 30,000 or whatever it is.
There's no separate contingency.
I don't see any other numbers.
For the
That's a
assessor's
widespread.
office, right?
Pardon me? I'm sorry. no question.
It's all right, I'm sorry, it's widespread, you know, from
Oh, it
other
is.
numbers, it
because
doesn't make
it's a
sense.
It is a widespread, and I get that. It is based on if every one of them utilize their full insurance benefit to the max.
Well,
That's all it's
and
based
the
on.
odds of that would be like what?
The odds are in our favor that they're not gonna use
Well,
it,
then that's why I think the
but
number's too
that's
high.
why we marked it worst case scenario.
I still think, I know, but I think
That's
the
your
number's
guys'
too
choice.
high.
If you wanna cut it, you can do that.
I'm part of the board, I'm just expressing my viewpoint, I think that number's too high.
Do you guys
I'm
want
only one
Mary or
voice
no?
here.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, what do you think about that number?
I agree.
Stan? Do you think we should stay at that?
I think we could lower it a little bit, but not drastically. Because it is a worst case.
I'm not saying what
scenario.
number should be lowered, I think it's just too high.
I'm saying then just, we're gonna have to increase contingencies in case something bad happens.
So where's
I
the
just heard
contingency line?
from Debbie that everybody would have to be sick there. I just don't buy that you can't cover everything. I just don't.
I understand.
Anybody in that staff gonna have to draw on that this next calendar year.
Contingencies on page 4, Steve, it's only 50,000, only 50,000.
What kind of a number are you looking at, Stan?
I'd say drop 10 grand.
I'll go along with that. That's reasonable.
What was your figure?
10,000, because if you look at the previous years, you've got actual 9,000, 15,000. So that still leaves you, you know, a pretty good cushion there.
Well, I would say make it double what it was, the actual from the past year, so it's 16 instead of 20. 25 as Stan wants, make it 16.4.
Well, that figure also has a balance in it someplace. We don't know what that is yet, from what I understand.
Mary's here now.
So if we have a balance in there, that's our contingency, so.
All right, so how many employees are in the assessor's office now?
I'm sorry?
How many employees are working in the assessor's office
6.
now? And you?
No, and 7, yeah. I'm not an employee.
Right, but so there's 7 workers now in the assessor's office, and no part-time people or
No.
outside people?
Nope.
Okay. You don't have anything down here for overtime,
Correct.
which is quite a drop from last year. And the reason?
We didn't have much, I just cut it out.
It was only $300 actual, so.
All right. From our point of view, the HRA is unrealistic. So we're considering,
It's the worst case scenario.
we're considering at least a $10,000 reduction, maybe more.
Well, the
Can you tell me
HRA,
how it was arrived, how you arrived at
the
it?
HRA has said that's the worst case scenario.
That's worst case
that-
scenario.
that if
Everybody
that-
gets it.
Right, but we don't, if you don't plan to have that in case you need it, then what do you do? I mean, you have to have that, that's the number, that's, if every employee submitted medical bills for that amount, we'd have to have the money to cover it. How can you not put it in the budget?
Well, it's for contingency, since it's never been,
Could you please speak up, because I really can't hear you, and it echoes in here. All of you guys have microphones. I don't know, can you hear them, John?
are the microphones even working now?
Yeah, they are.
I mean, I just, in your.
All right, so you prepared pages 6 and 7, what's been presented to us.
Page 6 and 7. I believe that's not 6. I'm not, well, I don't know what I got. Anything under the assessor division I prepared, yes.
Well, they just page
Page
6.
I must, maybe I don't have the most current one. You guys changed it. Parks in mine is number 6.
Oh, you got the wrong.
Or Senior Express is number 6.
The next one.
Do you have the most up-to-date budget?
She
Well, I
does.
have for, I don't think anything's changed in mine.
All right, so this is the 3rd draft. Do you have that?
I don't, but again, I don't think anything was changed in this part. So-
Okay.
Nothing was changed on, from my memory.
So like, wherever your assessor pages are, Mary,
Right, it's, for me, it's 7 and 8, that's
Okay.
the assessor, but it's the same.
you're looking at the same thing.
Okay, so did you come up with the 30,500? Or did someone else do that?
No, that's based on the insurance needs for my employees, that's the worst case scenario under the HRA based on our insurance for my staff. And Flo comes up with that. And again, that's the worst case scenario.
When was the last year that you, so for the 2021 budget, you had another employee in that budget than what's in,
No,
No.
no, I did not.
so you've had no change in the last 2 years?
Correct. Well, last year, so, what was it, end of 19, I don't have exact, 30, the HRA was 30,000 in 2021.
So is it based on another person or what?
It's based upon if they change their insurance or not. They might add another dependent or family care or something like that.
But we have one less employee, right, from last year's budget to this year's?
No,
No,
so it's got to be an insurance cost. That's
it's
the only-
insurance cost.
So when was the last person, like, laid off, fired, or whatever, from the assessor's office?
In 19.
Somewhere in the, during the calendar year 2019.
Correct.
All right, this, under data processing, we've been given a new figure of 25,000.
That was per your suggestion, per the sports.
That's computer maintenance in my,
Okay. So what had it been? I'm just trying to figure out what. Was this a reduction or an increase or what?
that's the XCal amount.
That's the next count. That's a slight increase just in case. We spent 23,272 last year.
Okay.
That varies a bit upon computer needs, etc.
And you're okay with that?
Oh, I'd like to pay less, but I can't. That's what we're contracted for.
I'm
So-
saying you're okay for that budgeted amount.
Well, yeah, that's what yes.
All right, why do you have a reduction from telephone?
That, it doesn't look like a reduction. It says 4,100.
But it's a reduction from what was actually supposedly spent by the assessor's office.
I guess I'm not, what's actual is 4,035 and what's requested is 4,100. That would be higher.
So you're not on the same
I
page
got
with
4,000. Oh, you didn't get the final numbers.
Oh, okay, so what's the number?
4,486.65.
4,000 what?
486.65.
All right, so
Well, that would be, so those numbers, I don't even, those are based on what we're actually spending. Through the township, the telephone, the internet, all of that is split 3 ways, right, Craig?
Correct.
well, then you at least propose that we should budget at least as much as we did last year for the phone, right?
Yeah, you probably should. You're right.
See, this is what I meant by who prepared this stuff. She's going by outdated numbers, and
You're correct. She is. She didn't get the final numbers.
so are we certain that all the numbers are in now for March 31?
I've been told they are.
Okay. So maybe the assessor should get a copy of the actual, so we can have a rational discussion.
Okay, let me go make a copy.
I don't mean to blindside you with these things, okay?
I'm sorry, Mary, you didn't get a tough copy.
No, and I'm sorry, I didn't know that they changed. So those numbers, if they're changing them based on the actual figures, they're gonna, I mean, I'm not,
Right, and that's what we're trying to come up with.
right, and those are not really figures I have any real say about. The bills come in, I have to, that has to be what's paid. So if that has gone up or down, it's based on what's actual.
Right, what he's saying is last month the numbers were different because you didn't have all the figures, but yeah, I mean, they're within the,
Sure.
on that telephone thing, I mean, if it was 4,486, why not just make it 4,500 and we'll be done with that line item?
Yeah, that's fine, but I want her to see how everything finally shook out
Right,
for
then
the
he's
year.
gonna get her a
In
copy.
case she wants to make other changes. So we don't have to do this again. We can straighten it out today. As long as we have, as the supervisor said, everything in for that fiscal year. Okay. I'm not trying to cheat you out of anything.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just, the numbers there basically are numbers that are going to come from the accounting person, from Debbie, from the numbers that are done. Those are not numbers I pick out and say I need more for. They're pretty much based on what
I-
we're all splitting.
Yeah, you just talk about the actual numbers.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's get the actual numbers. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine.
So are there any ways that these split things are divided that you think unfairly get charged to the assessor's office?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I mean,
So you sit down at some time and agree to what percentage goes split to the assessor's office, and it's not just some kind of a deal where here, we decided and you accept it.
pretty much everything is, because everything is connected in this building with the supervisor's department, the assessment department, and the road district, the cost is split 3 ways. Do we all use the same amount of phone time or computer time? No, I don't know. So am I okay with it being split 3 ways? Yes, I think that, because it's all work that needs to be done for the township. So.
But you don't share employees with the
No,
other two departments.
I don't share any employees. Thanks, Craig.
All right, so take a look at that and see if you have any changes to your proposed budget.
Oh, I see. So you're saying, so the actual for 2021 actual was 4486, right? That's the number you're talking about, Steve?
Correct. You probably have the lesser.
So that we should make that a higher number? So the telephone and internet, is that going to be separate now, Craig?
Internet it was never there before, so you got separated off.
So that 3240 is just for the internet?
It's for the internet, and it's not going to run everything.
And so we need 4486 for phone.
Or maybe you should just make it 4490.
Whatever, 44, I mean, that number is still, we still need that amount, an amount in for telephone and the internet, so, okay. Again, those are kind of out of my control.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out who came up with the 3240 for the internet. Was it the township or was it the assessor?
Township.
The township, we came up with that based upon what we know the internet cost is going to be next year.
And so how did you fractionalize the whole bill? You got some bill for internet, and that you came up with some proportion to get charged to the assessor. So how is that right or wrong or
no? It's
accurate?
It's accurate. I believe it's done by computer, Steve.
And there never was a line item on this before.
No, and
so I'm wondering.
Oh, we have a new phone system.
We have a new phone system that required, that's why it's there now. The new phone system is going to run over the internet now.
So maybe the phone figures should be reduced for the next year. I don't know. I'm asking you to. Because otherwise it's not much of a saving. In fact, it's the opposite, at least as far as the assessor goes.
Well, that's split, again, there's 3 departments. We split the shared cost and split it in 3.
You mean you split it in a third, no matter what the actual really is?
Well, we can't, we get one bill, so.
We what?
Yeah, I know, but does parks really go for a third?
Well, when I say a third, I'm talking about supervisor's department, which the parks would be under, assessment, road and route. So the 3 main departments.
Oh, road district is in there too?
Road district has their own.
They're all tied into this as well, though.
Well, they're tied into the internet and the phone. Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
I believe they are. I'm not gonna think about it.
You believe they're what?
They're tied into somehow.
Yeah, so they would.
Because it's one internet provider.
Right, when the bills come in, they get split 3 ways. That makes sense to me.
Well, it makes sense if it actually is that way. But if somebody, one of the three isn't using it that much and the other two really are, then it doesn't make sense.
Well, they're all using it pretty much equally, Steve.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. So you're saying then that the internet website bill is 3 times that amount that the assessor's getting charged for?
Correct.
And the remainder is split, half the remainder to the road district, half to the town?
Correct.
Okay, so where does that appear in the township? Because it should be the same figure, right?
Well, it may not be. Let's look. What is Mary against? Well, it's pretty darn close, Steve. It's 3,200. Oh, wait a minute.
So what page and line are you
Wait,
talking?
I'm not finding it. Hold on. Internet and website. It's under, in our budget, it's under website expenses. It's got 3,200.
It's under what?
On page 3, under contractual services.
Are we gonna get the road district's budget?
Uh,
Or is that just gonna be passed out? Well, we demand to have it, okay?
You need to contact the road commissioner. I've asked him for it, I haven't gotten it.
You've asked him?
I've asked him when it's coming, he says he's still working on it.
Oh, so this is a naked attempt to keep this board from
I have-
working on the budget?
I have nothing to do with the road district budget.
Look, we're entitled to do 4 budgets, right?
Not saying they're not. You're gonna have to ask the road commissioner about it.
Did you actually write to him for this?
I asked him, and he said, it was in his monthly report last month, so I think if you read it.
Okay, well, that's like, what, 2 weeks late, 2 weeks ago?
Right.
Okay, so,
You're gonna have to talk to him. You're gonna have to send him an email and ask him as the board.
you're going to send him an email on behalf of the board, since you're the president of it. Where is the budget?
Okay.
Agreed?
And a copy to us. Because we may be in the state's attorney's office if it's been withheld from us. Okay. Now, it seems to me that figure should be the same then. Extra shouldn't be charged to the assessor.
You're correct. Unless we go by number of. What do you think about this a second?
You have website expenses, it says 3,200.
All right. You're 3,250.
You're what?
You're 3,250.
Well, 3240.
3,250. So we should add $40 onto this one.
Or remove 40 from her. I don't know what the deal is on it. Okay, but they should be the same.
Right. So I would say make it 3,240.
Okay. So the postage can come down a little. We'll give it a 50% increase from the last year. Is that okay? Is that okay with you?
On which one?
The postage.
To $500? Is that what you're saying?
600.
600? We mail a lot of things.
Yeah, I know that, but last year, we've been budgeting 1,000 all this time, and it hasn't even been half of that,
I don't
okay?
think that's the final, is it? Because of the year before.
It is.
It is?
2019 was still,
Okay.
it was 400.
I mean, I don't know how these finals could be exact amounts like that. $400 for postage.
Because I think it's 50 cents a piece, Steve.
51 now, right?
50.
50 or 40.
No, it went up.
No, not with our, with
Not
the
on meter, I don't think.
Yeah, it did. It's 51 cents on the meter.
Okay.
Okay.
So
It didn't change for the ordinary stamps, right?
It didn't change the stamps.
No, that's still 55, but the meter is 51 now, right?
It
Mr.
could be.
Miltel?
I don't- Meter's 51. I don't know if that meant.
I know it's.
Okay, I believe you.
Okay.
We have a meter, and it's 51.
Okay, so the question is, if we increase by 50%, what you used last year, is that okay? Down from 1,600?
that's fine, yeah, that's, I mean,
Are you planning on doing some mass mailing or something, or what?
here's what we do. We mail to new homeowners. We mail when people ask us to mail them certain forms that they don't have access to get.
I think Steve was asking whether you can do anything out of the ordinary mailing.
Is there anything
Extra mailing this time. If you got something planned, I think that's what Steve's question was.
Yeah,
Dave.
no.
Okay.
I do not.
So in other words, your mailing should be the same as it's been the last few years, correct?
Should be about, yes.
Okay.
All right, so was this website, the internet website that's now a new line item for the assessor, does it mean there'll be a lesser bill for telephone? In other words, why did the township decide to do this internet website?
It was due to the telephones, you're right, Steve.
So it's to save money.
In the long run, that's our hope, yes.
So we don't really know.
We don't know about phone room at this point. But the problem is, right now, it's still not, we have to get a...
It's not up and running, right?
Right, it's not up and running. So the phone bill is staying the same for now.
Okay, so we'll keep it, we'll increase the telephone budget, what did we say?
4,500?
4,500?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we reduce the postage? We were talking about postage.
Yes?
To 600?
600, yeah.
Okay.
And it's 600.
So risk management is the Torma bill?
Correct.
What does that actually do? Like when they're driving, they hit somebody while they're on a run? What does that cover? That risk management?
It's everything that Torma covers. Yeah, driving in their case, they hit somebody hits them.
So it's really an insurance associated with the vehicles?
No, it's associated with everything, not just the vehicles. Could be workman's comp.
Well, it could be. Is it?
It is.
Is it, Mr. Miltel?
I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
Does Torma insurance include workman's comp? It does.
It does.
So this is a separate Torma bill for the assessor, or is it some percentage of the whole Torma bill for the township?
It's a percentage.
And you arrived at that through some kind of agreement with the assessor?
Correct.
So that represents another one of these thirds? Third.
I don't remember, Steve. Let me take a look.
Well, the way to do it is just like we did with the internet
That's
one.
exactly what I'm going to do.
So that means the road district is in that Torma thing too?
Yes, they are.
But they're the ones that are on the roads. All the time.
Well, we have 3 vehicles that are on the road most of the time.
Well, don't say most, because you get a big reduction in fuel.
The last year was,
Yeah, COVID year, and we're still in COVID.
right.
So the question is, yeah, you got 3 vehicles, but they're not really out as much as I would think the road district vehicles.
Well, that's correct.
So I'm trying to figure out if it's really a fair amount that's being thrown onto the assessor's office. It seems like the assessor and the township are subsidizing the road district.
Well, don't we get a big, the point is it covers the entire township by joining everyone together and doing the insurance together, that we get a better break. And that's how our health insurance, the touring insurance.
Yeah, that may be, but there's two taxing bodies involved, okay? So the question then becomes, is the township subsidizing the road district? I don't know why they can't come up with separate
I
bills.
can't even find out. No, I'm sorry. Torma breaks it down for us. Now I remember. And they're basing it probably on a number of people and the risk in each department.
Well, then show us the road district bill.
We get it broken down.
Okay, then show us the breakdown. I don't mean now.
Yeah.
When you get a chance.
We called, they sent us one bill, but we called them and they gave us a breakdown.
I have a question, please. Are we going to follow through with the agenda for this meeting, or are we going to continue it on to the next meeting that we have for the budget if we don't finish?
Oh, we'll continue it on, I guess.
Okay.
So is there anything that, based on the new numbers for the year, fiscal year that ended March 31st, is there anything else that you'd want changed on the assessor's side?
Those are the ones we've talked about are the only ones that need to be changed, the telephone and postage, right? Those are the only two that you made any changes to.
Wait a minute, I have a question.
Well, I don't know what you've got on yours. They're up to date.
I've got a question. On the printing and publishing, Mary, it says you spent $424.05 and we only budgeted 300, so.
Well, we did, well, we do our door hangers, we'd run out of those. We've just had a lot of that going on, so we use more this year than we have in the past, because people with COVID, just.
Well, I'm asking you, should it be more than the 300, that's
Yeah.
Actually, that's what Steve's question was too. I wanted to know if you thought these numbers need to be corrected on your side.
You can do it there if you want. I thought we could take it out of office supplies if need to be, but that's fine. If you want to put that at 425, that would be fine.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Okay?
Can I just recap for purposes of the minutes, just to make sure?
Yes.
Telephone, I have put 4,500. Postage, I have at 600. And printing and publication, I have now at 425.
That's correct.
Was there anything done, or I just want to make sure on the HRA on that?
No, we haven't done anything yet.
I think the consensus is to lower that number. We haven't come up with a number.
All right, so I propose it's doubled from what the actual was the prior year. So it'd be lowered from 30,500 to 16,400.
Can I ask what you're talking about?
He's talking about the HRA.
Okay, thank you.
I would suggest 20,000 just to make it safe. Could have a bad year.
The 50% over is what makes it safe, in my view.
Well, you never know what that's
You never know
going
what
to
might
be.
happen, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we never know, but it's never gone that high, okay? Ever.
I like 20,000.
I don't know about ever. I don't have enough data for enough facts.
Well,
You've been on the board for 22 years.
Steve, I don't remember.
it was 14,000 the year before, 8,000 this last year. certainly, we just never know who's gonna come up with what, or what we're gonna have to cover.
We got one less employee from the 2019-20 actual, okay? This, going into this next budget year. So that should have some effect on it.
This doesn't, that has some effect, but it doesn't really if people are adding people to their insurance.
That's what the contingency fee is for.
Well, then we've got to make contingency a lot more than it is, in case that happens. Because it happens every year, Steve. People add people all the time.
Right, why don't we just say 18,000? Because this all gets sloughed off into the general fund anyway, at the end of the year, all the excess, right?
Correct.
Which allows for all the taxpayer abuse.
Let's have a vote on 18,000 and move on.
Okay. All those want 18,000, signify by saying aye.
Don't
Aye.
don't we have to make the motion, actually?
Oh, we need a motion.
I don't think we need a motion, we're just correcting the numbers.
I'm,
We didn't make any motion on the rest of the numbers, we're just correcting the
No, we're
numbers.
voting it on as a package at the end. Right, Mr. Molotov?
At this time, you're just talking about setting the number.
right.
And you're just taking a straw poll at this time
Correct.
in order to see if you're all in favor of it.
No one's making a motion here, just right.
How about a compromise, 19,000? It just makes me feel
Say that
safe.
again?
A compromise to 19,000 just makes me feel safer.
Okay, that sounds good.
What's the contingency fee? Or the contingency,
Contingency is only $50,000.
yeah, okay, so it can come out of that, the extra thousand.
But we spent a lot of contingency already.
Well, this thing is unrealistic, okay?
Look, we spent
If
44,000.
this was a normal corporation, this would never be permitted.
Anyways, I suggested 19,000. Are we okay
Let's
with
vote
that?
on 19,000, or, yeah.
I thought we were going to vote on 18.
I suggested 19.
Okay. Well then,
All right, 18.5. Okay?
Do I hear,
I'm just trying to keep these numbers so that there's some basis in reality.
So should I bring in a dartboard, and you guys can just throw one dart and pick a number?
So the minutes are going to reflect a suggested amount of 18,500.
Yes.
Okay.
okay with me?
Where are you going with it?
18.5.
18,500.
Okay.
Office supplies, 1,000.
Hold on, where is that, Steve? Next page. If you can see, the year before it was 1848. So one of those years was 1848.
That one I would ask not to be changed, just because we are going to have, probably some more, field expenses with tape measures and equipment, that get worn out. We're supposed to have more properties, coming online by the end of the year, so there's definitely more folders, things like that, but,
Well, how much more?
well, I think the 2,000 is fine. I think we can, this year, we were at 1850 last year, or 2 years ago, less than that this year, but we were conservative this year.
We should be conservative every year.
Well, we didn't need it when I need it though, that's 1,500.
All right. Miscellaneous, what's the deal? That seems like its own contingency. Fund.
Yeah, that one, we could go to 500 on that one if you want.
Okay. Now, when you say,
Pardon me?
when you say tape measures and all that, it's not really office supplies. I realize you need these measuring devices, okay? But if some taxpayer read this, they'd think you're getting paper and ink and paper clips and all that. So maybe we could break it down into equipment that you need? Instead of office supplies, just have a separate line item, equipment, and put in what, $500 for that?
But office supplies.
It's not an office supply. If they need tape measures and lasers.
Excuse me, but the equipment, the supplies that are needed for us to do our job, whether it's inside the office or outside in the field, would be office supplies. So you could probably make 15 different line items for each individual category, or we could call them office supplies, which is what we need to do the work.
Usually department heads want separate line items, okay? So that they can get more money ultimately by pointing out the things, okay?
I only want the money I need to run my office. And I consider field supplies
Okay,
office
so
supplies.
you say this is gonna be a big year for what? Tape measures?
Well, here's the thing, I need another camera. Things break. I never know exactly what we're gonna need, but I know that 2 years ago, we were at 1850. This year, we were at 830. But things wear out. We need more supplies.
How many cameras you got now?
Pardon me?
How many cameras do you have now?
How many cameras?
Yeah.
3. And I have 4 people taking pictures. Hard to, so that's why we're gonna be needing another camera.
How much is that about?
That'll be a couple $100. We buy used or refurbished ones generally.
When's the last time you bought one?
I think 2 years ago.
These are digital, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with our accommodations, 1,500 for office supplies, 500 for miscellaneous.
Great.
What's the capital outlay expense?
That's in case, I have a computer that goes down or needs replaced. Basically, it's computers. Other things, there's not any other real equipment that would be needed, but to replace a computer would be
Computers, scanners.
would be about $1,000 at least. So. Don't want to replace any, but if they go down, I need to.
Okay, so they can get cut to 1,200.
Okay.
That's mine, sorry.
If you look back a couple of years, was it 9,000 and was it 5,000? I think that, if anything, it should be more than 2,000.
Okay, what do you think it should be, 18,000?
How about 3,000? I mean, computers, what kind of computer are you gonna get for $1,000?
Look, we had the assessor come in with what she thought she needed, okay? She said she needed, the only thing it would be is a computer replacement. But she said it would be about $1,000, okay? So now we got 1,200 in there.
Well, but if you need 2, you're at 2,000.
Then you're at 2,000.
What concerns me is the money you spent the previous years was a lot more than the 2,000.
Okay, well, let's go by the last year.
The last year wasn't much, but the year before that was quite a bit, look at it.
Yeah, over 5,000.
Yeah, so? But what? We're trying to cut things, not expand it on what happened in days of yore.
Well, you gotta look at more than 1 year for historical data, Steve. I mean,
That's right.
and we are.
That's the whole reason we have previous years on these sheets, to make a judgment.
So are you saying that you know more than what the assessor should?
Well,
She's asked for $2,000, so you're saying to put more than that on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's gonna be a no-go. Okay.
It seems to me he's pointing out that the 2,000 is reasonable based on what the past has shown, that we're not overextending, but saying
Absolutely.
if we need 2 computers, 2,000 isn't unreasonable. Right?
Right.
There
He
you go.
didn't point it out, he wanted to raise it. He didn't say it was a reasonable number, he wanted to raise it.
I thought he was saying.
No, he
it
was saying he
higher
wanted to
before.
raise it.
Well, but
I'm just trying to
Raising is
compromise.
not-
I'm trying to
raising-
compromise.
A compromise is somewhere in between, not raising to a whole new level.
Well, you just raised,
Yes, for 2,000.
you just raised the phone $400. Nobody complained about
Stay with
that.
2,000. Stay with 2,000, it's not excessive.
Stay with 2,000, fine with me.
Okay, fine with you, Mary?
Are there any other big ticket items the assessor's office needs going forward in the next year?
is what? What did you just say? I'm sorry.
Does this budget,
Use your mic.
Does this budget fairly reflect how much it would cost to run your office for the next
At the moment,
fiscal year?
at the moment. Did you make any, other than the HRA, did you make any changes under personnel? Was that the only change? Just
That was the only change, HR.
Yeah,
That was it?
that was it.
And then
Telephone.
telephone,
and
postage,
and
printing and publishing, office supplies, and miscellaneous.
Right.
There we go. It's good. It's fine.
Okay, and then the assessor can be excused, right?
Certainly. Thank you, Mary.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's fair to say we're done with the assessor's budget then?
I'd like to go into executive session.
Well, we've got more on the agenda.
Well, we can go to executive session if you want.
A short one,
Okay, why don't we do that for now?
after Bob gets done.
Oh, Bob has something?
Well, yes, number 8, review the letter, the resolution from trustee Anderson to Senator Wilcox. I think we can do that before we go into executive session.
Okay, forgot about that. Mr. Militello has prepared it.
I read through it. I have nothing to add to it, except that we got to get a number on there. And then this would be sent electronically to the senator. Is that how that works?
No, I would send it to his address.
So it's going to send, it's to be mailed to him?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, I suppose I need to get this in discussion. I'll make a motion to accept what Mr. Militello as the sentence here we have before us, and then get a second and have discussion on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I'll make that motion that we accept what Mr. Militello prepared for us. That would be going to Senator Wilcox.
I hear a second.
Second.
Okay, first second. Any discussion? Okay, let's have a vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Let me mark these off. Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson votes no. I told you I believe the voters should have rights. Mr. Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Militello, for preparing this.
I will.
And this will be sent off at what time this
I'm
week?
just trying to think about this a second. The clerk has to sign this.
Who backs up the clerk when Mr. Beard asked that before that if he's not here, that you have somebody to back that up?
Yeah, it should be me or Mary. We'll figure it out.
then when will it be sent?
You could certainly, if the board wishes, you could certainly send him your signature on it with the, showing the corrected and saying this is a draft copy of the resolution. When the clerk returns the formal copy of the Senate, you can certainly do that, but if you minus his signature.
No. The township business doesn't come to a standstill because
No,
somebody
it
takes
doesn't.
off.
I'm thinking he might have there might be a way to do this. We'll figure it out.
Well, the way to do it is to have the deputy clerk do it. Whoever would take in stuff is at the receptionist. We have an acting secretary too, with Mr. Motello.
Correct.
So,
Would that be appropriate for you to sign it since you prepared it?
No, what would be appropriate is just to email it to Dan wherever he's at and have him just sign it. You could have Dan sign it, but
Or if not, we'll change that to,
and if he refuses to sign, then
why don't we just take
Take it off.
Take it off.
I was gonna say, why does he have to?
He doesn't have to.
Okay, then, because I think my letter was just to have the supervisor sign it, so let's just take that part out of there and just have the supervisor sign
I'll
it.
revise it.
Okay, and then we'd have what the vote was.
That's fair.
And then it would be mailed, when?
as soon as I get it back from Mr. Miltolo,
Okay, would you notify
I'll have
me
it.
when it's sent?
I'll send it tomorrow.
and then
Okay, thank you.
Stan Wojcicki needs to be changed on that signature line to his correct name and that he's a trustee.
Yeah, you misspelled my name on it.
I'm sorry, Stan.
Well, it's a difficult name, so
No, it's.
you're forgiven.
We'll correct.
Oh, that would be a correction.
It also
Yes.
should say trustee.
Names
Yeah.
spelling's important, name's important, it should be right.
That's like Loki from Star Wars.
Who caught that? Did you catch it?
Yeah, I did, but I forgot about it.
Oh, yeah, no, that should be corrected. for
Steve
sure.
mentioned it.
Thank you.
Do you have the correct spelling?
I got it. That thing isn't my part.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. All right. Can we adjourn this meeting then?
This Township Topics Day, that's for 2 days from now. Township paid for that?
I don't know anybody that's going.
I'm going.
How much is it?
Well, it says 25 a person, but I was gonna pay the last one in January when they had this, the township annual meeting, the virtual meeting, okay? They wrote me back and said, township has already paid. Okay, TOI wrote me back. And I attended it.
Dan might have attended that, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out is, do we already pay this or what?
To my knowledge, it hasn't been paid.
All right, well, I definitely want to go do it.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if anybody else has signed up or not.
are you gonna go?
I don't think so. But I suggest you do the same thing, sign up, and then they'll call you and say that somebody's paid. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else here is attending. It's not so much a person, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was like that before in January. You know, so much a person, they said the township has already paid for it. Anybody that wants to go. And I didn't pay anything.
Okay,
But I did attend
okay.
4 of the 5 days.
Right.
I found it very interesting, especially since my name is brought up. That's why I want to go to this one.
Okay. Well, go ahead and sign up and see what they tell you. I don't know that we've paid her.
Okay.
And then if you have to pay, burn us a receipt as well.
Where's this at?
It's online. Isn't it?
It's
virtual.
Virtual.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go, Stan?
No.
Somebody make, do we have board comment on number 9 before we ask to go into executive session? Because the next one we're on is number 9, board comment.
Okay, any board comment? Okay, none being heard?
Then I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second?
Second, great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to say what we were going in there for legal matters? So Mr. Milton,
Pending
you want to
litigation,
handle that?
exception.
Which litigation, Mike?
This would be Mchenry Township versus Robert Beltran
And other litigation.
and other pending litigation.
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, the board's batting 1,000.
I'm sure the new board's gonna reverse that too.
They can't reverse the appellate court, okay? Or the other courts that have ruled in the board's favor, including the federal court, including the federal court.
Okay.
McKinney.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Rachel? Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beer?
Yes.
German? Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where we're going, guys. We have to go in that small room because it's lunchtime. Not this one. No.
truck to church yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
He's been getting rides and different people go to church and go back. So I said it's the first time in the last 3 years since he's been driving.
Do you still have a sticker?
Yeah, well, we didn't adjourn it yet, you can, we'll open it back up. It's 12:40. Resume open session.
Okay, it's 12:40, we're resuming open session. Motion to adjourn.
Before we do, when's our next meeting?
Next Monday, right?
Oh, okay, we're at 9:30?
Yeah.
And we'll
Okay.
just continue our agenda from this meeting?
Well, we hope to get the road commissioner here.
I'll ask him for his budget, and I'll copy you guys.
He can either come, or Craig's going to notify him, but he can come or not come.
Because we're done with the assessor, right?
Doesn't he have to submit a budget?
I'm done.
He does, he needs to submit a budget.
We're done with the assessor.
And I believe Supervisor Adams indicated that he's gonna send something to the highway commissioner to ask him to do that.
Right.
So we need to have a deadline on it it's got to be in for the next meeting.
Well, we haven't resolved the town budget yet either, though.
Yeah, we have for the
We're
most part.
pretty
Just,
close.
oh, I think we have. I think it's just a matter of making sure our changes are in there next week. And then,
I'll make them happen for next week.
So what if he refuses?
I'm sure he won't, but if he refuses, then,
Don't we have to do a mandamus action?
well,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, he's.
What is it?
What is a
Next Monday.
mandamus? What does that mean?
Mandamus action is an action brought saying somebody needs to do something because they're not doing something pursuant to the powers that they're required to do.
Like Terrio, not putting us on the ballot. That was all started with a mandamus action. So there's some statute that requires them to present it to us.
No, we didn't bring it. There's a statute, it's 605, I'll tell you in a second, it's 605 /1/501, let me just find it again. Looked it up.
We believe you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I get it in my head. Anyways, it's a section, yes, 5/6501, and it's interesting, that's the section of the highway commissioner statute that talks about him submitting it to the clerk and the clerk getting it, but it's this board at the end of the day who makes the determination on a line-by-line item basis whether or not the budget's necessary. So this board makes that decision at the end of the day.
We only have a couple more weeks before the next scheduled meeting. Do we still have authority after that meeting up until the time the new board is seated to make decisions, or is it next month's meeting?
It is
Special and emergency meeting, same as ever.
5/6-
If it's a valid board.
It would have to be before the new board is sworn in, I would imagine, right?
It's not coming up.
It has to be posted, it has to be posted for 30 days.
It does.
Yes.
It does. Not just the road districts, but the town is required to post the budget, the tentative budget prior to adoption, 30 days in advance. And that comes out of two sections. One, the municipal budget law, which deals with budgeting, which is chapter 50, and then the 605 section, which was relative to the highway department, and then this board's authority relative to adopting it.
So they would have to be made by May 30th, then, right?
Whenever
If the budget
this-
has to be in by June 30th, it's got to be posted 30 days before that?
Okay, so the budget needs to be adopted within the first fiscal year of the first fiscal year of, in this case, you have April, May, and then June, so the end of June, June 30th is your last day to adopt the budget. Okay? So if June 30th is your last day to adopt the budget, that means you'd have to have it ready.
Posted 30 days before.
30 days before, so you'd have to have it ready to go by the end of May so that it can be posted.
So with that said, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 12:45.
I will second that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, meeting is adjourned.
And a good afternoon, see you next Monday.
I'm sorry, who made the second one? Did you make the second one?
I made the second.
You made the second, thank you, sir.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.